Hey guys, welcome back to episode 3 of Triple Threat. I'm your host, Abby Harvey, with my co-host, Isaac Wolf. And we had a big weekend of games and obviously 8 full games. So we're going to get honestly right into it because we got a lot to cover today. So Friday kicked off with Laces and Phantom, and Laces won 76-75. This game was really fun, all back and forth. Both teams played really good. But Brittany Sykes had the game-winning three-point shot. She's still playing good. I still think she's one of the most underrated players in this league. She's just playing so consistently right now. But honestly, I thought this was a great game for both of the teams. It was pretty quick. It was, I think, one of the fastest games I've watched of Unrivaled. But
Yeah, in terms of just the way the game went down, Boston had a wide open layup after a miscommunication from Sykes and Thomas. Both went with Plum on a screen, and so that cut the lead or that gave Phantom the lead because it was tied 73-73.
mm,
Then on the next possession, Boston gets caught too far in drop coverage. Sykes hits the three off the screen. It was a relatively tough shot. I mean, it was a late contest, but it still wasn't enough. So pretty good shot there from Sykes. He finished the game with 17 points on 6 of 14 shooting. Plum and Boston combined for 48, so they did the majority of the heavy lifting, each of them 50% from the field. So that's kind of the Phantoms game, is that two-man game with Boston and Plum, and I'll get into that a little bit later for their second game. But yeah, a lot of fun in this one, coming down to the wire like that. So yeah.
yeah. And I think another game where the Laces shot really well from three, they shot 46.7% from three. So obviously very efficient beyond the arc. And I think that's been a big part of their game, especially with how much Brittany Sykes has been able to contribute to that. Next game, Hive got their first win of the
They
season
did.
against the Rose, which I think was a big upset. Rose was coming in undefeated, Hive was coming in without a win, and Hive ended up winning 78-75. Kelsey Mitchell finally kind of figured out her rhythm. We
Mhm.
said in our previous episode she was going to be someone who we thought was going to be successful in this league. And I think she finally figured it out a little bit. She had 24 points, shot 65%, had a few threes, but I mean, had the game winner at the end, which was good for the Hive. But against the Rose, I wasn't really expecting that.
Well, Gray nearly brought them back from the dead
For
because
real.
they were down they were down 12, so they were 23 away from the target score entering the fourth quarter. And
Hmm.
then they eventually cut the lead to three, and that was mainly on the back of Gray. Later down the line, Copper hit a three to cut it to one at one point. So they were right back in the game. It was anybody's game, but Mitchell took care of business and hit the game winner. But the Hive in this one, they had 5 3-pointers made as a team in their first 3 games, and this game they had 6. So that certainly contributes. I mean, and they weren't even fantastic percentage
No.
wise. They were 6 of 19. It's 31%, and so it's not even like a fantastic number, but just the fact that they were so poor from outside that they were due for something better. And they had good balanced production from everyone besides
Mhm.
Heidemann, who only had 2 points. Everybody else was in double figures: 14 for Citron, 12 for Magbagor. Obviously, Kelsey led the way with 24, and then Billings 12, Rivers 12, or excuse me, 14. So very balanced production, obviously led by Mitchell, and I think that's a recipe for success when you can get that many girls involved in this type of format.
Yeah, I think Sanaya Rivers, she went on a bit of a stretch there where she wasn't missing. She was making threes, which that's not really even part of her game.
No.
And obviously, we've talked a lot about her defense. She's had the block record from last week and then consistently a lot of block shots. She had two this game, but she shot 50% and then 67% from beyond the arc. So she had a little stretch where she was making a big difference and she kind of wasn't missing.
Yeah. On to Saturday, where the first game of the day was Mist and Lunar Owls, and Mist took care of this one 79-65. The Mist, I feel like they just have to put it together. They have all the pieces of an elite team. They have depth. They have a lot of depth. And once Stewart kind of gets her legs back under her fully, there are times where she looks, I mean, there are still times, even though she's not 100%, where she looks like she's still play ahead of everyone. Like
Mhm.
that's how good she is. clearly not 100%, but once she is, I believe the Mist will be the best team in the league this year. Lee Yuru was looking like an entirely different player. She had she had 13 points in 4 minutes. And that just blew my mind. She hit a three, had kind of this high stepping, it wasn't quite a Euro step, but a high step to keep the ball away from the defender on the fast break. And she's playing really, really well. She's like this by minutes. She was the sixth woman, if you want to call it that, on the roster. Not like the typical definition of a sixth woman, but the last on the depth chart. And she's playing really well. She's growing a lot, trying a lot of things, and that's what this league is for. You get the opportunity in a new format. You have the ball in your hands a lot more. You get put in positions that you're not necessarily in on a nightly basis in the W. And so that was really cool to see her go off like that. 13 points, 4 minutes, 4 of 5 from the field, 1 of 1 from three, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. So hyper efficient. Um, and then obviously on the Lunar Owls side, they had just 7 bench points. Diggins and Fagbenley combined for 7. Mabry and Edwards did the heavy loading, as they always do. So
Yeah.
49 combined from those two. Marina Mabry is playing outstanding basketball, doing what she can to keep this Lunar Owls team competitive. But
Yeah.
we'll get to their second game in a little bit. But as far as the second game, unless you have more to say on that one,
I mean, yeah, I mean, you hit the point with the miss being so deep. I mean, you still have Enrique coming off the bench, who I
right?
think is still one of the best one-on-one players in women's basketball. I don't think she's gotten to her success the way we saw it last season at
And
all.
she had a really poor game. This
Yeah.
one, she was 1 of 11 from the field, 2 points.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, still having her coming off the bench is crazy. When they still had her and Alicia Gray coming off the bench, like before, obviously before Alicia Gray started starting again, but like their bench is the deepest, like you mentioned, in the rest of the league. And I mean, Veronica Burton's playing really good defense right now. I think she's kind of tapping into that being her big role in this aspect, especially with Stewie. But I don't know. I think I agree with you on the Mist. If they can get all the things going at once and they can get a lot of production of with Enrique coming off the bench, they can be, like you said, one of the best teams.
Yeah. Next game on Saturday was Breeze Vinyl, and the Vinyl took care of this one, 81-66. Um, Not a whole lot of takeaways from this one for me personally. I just felt like the Vinyl controlled this one the whole time. I think
Mhm.
the experience of the size on the Vinyl kind of um, was the advantage in this one because obviously Breeze have Brink and Malonga, but they're both very young. Meanwhile, you have Griner and Hamby on the other end. You're dealing with Griner, probably her best game of the season so far, 17 points in 10 minutes off the bench. And then Hamby added 21, and then Ryan Howard was getting to it, 6 of 11 from three, 30 points. Paige did what she does, 25, 8 and 7, excuse me, 25, 9 and 7. But I think this was more of an experience factor, and the youth of the Breeze really showed in this one.
It was another game where the Breeze had a lot of turnovers. They had 13 versus the Vinyl 5. So another game where they struggled to take care of the ball. But I agree. Ryan Howard is just shooting great from three. She's one of
Hmm.
those players where if she sees one go in, it's kind of wraps for her. But Brittany Griner has been struggling in Unrivaled, I think, because she's just on the slower end.
Hmm.
But with her ability to get 17 points, I think that was a big difference maker for the Vinyl.
For sure.
Moving on to Sunday, moving pretty quick. The Rose versus Laces, I think, was one of the games that I was excited to watch this weekend, just because both teams have kind of been at the top of the pack the past few games. But the Laces ended up winning 70-66. Jackie Young had the game-winning shot. She's playing really good. I think she's playing, they call her the silent assassin sometimes, and I think that's kind of what she's doing. She's just quietly getting the job done. Obviously, Chelsea Gray didn't have a 30 piece like she's been used to, but still had 22 points. Still shot 43% from three, 3 for 7 there. But Jackie Young had 35. I think that was the big piece of that. Alyssa Thomas had a double-double. Only 3 assists, which is odd for Alyssa Thomas, but still
Hmm.
obviously getting it done offensively. I think the Laces have all the things that they need to be one of the best teams. I kind of like the way they're playing. They have such a good starting three. So I think if all three of those can continue to play good, that they should be one of the top teams. I think the Rose are just reliant so much on Chelsea Gray, and her low night of 22 points
Right.
is going to be like a kind of a struggle for them if not many other players are adding to that.
Yeah, definitely getting Copper back helps, and I think
Yeah.
that'll um, keep them in more games and help them win some of those games where Gray does have off nights. But at the end of the day, I mean, those two had 43 combined. The rest of the team, Stevens 9, Austin 0, Hull 6, Sutton 8. So I mean, the supporting cast is what it is, and so we'll see, how far they can go with it.
Yeah, they had a tough weekend. They went into the weekend 3-0, came out 3-2. So
Hmm. Expect them to
obviously,
respond next week.
yeah. And then moving on, Hive and Phantom. Obviously, Hive coming off a big win. Phantom, I think they're playing really well. I think they've finally figured it out. But Phantom ended up winning pretty easily, 71-59. Kelsey Plum had the game-winning layup. Aaliyah Boston had 22, so she's playing really good. Um, yeah, not much really to say about this one.
I like how the Phantom got into the paint early. They
Mhm.
established it right away with Boston that they wanted to catch it deep, get paint looks, got Boston going, and then not just with her, but Plum on her dribble penetration as well. They worked inside out, led to, a couple threes later on in the game. And just that two-man game between Plum and Boston, I think is excellent for this format. And so I think it's
You-
going to take them a long way. And so I like the Phantom long term as well, as long as they can, figure this chemistry out. And
you-
mind you, they have they have Satu Sabali, who's still dealing with concussion symptoms. She's out for an
Yeah.
indefinite period of time. But if they get her back, that's a whole new ballgame.
Mhm. Do you watch Post Moves?
I do not.
So AB is one of the hosts
Mhm.
with Candace Parker on this podcast, and they had Kelsey Plum on the podcast, and they just talked about kind of their relationship in Unrivaled and how they've both been able to grow their game so much because of each other. And I think they talked about how they're becoming one of the most successful duos in this league and being able to just elevate both of their games. And I think Kelsey Plum said it in the podcast really well, but the way AB has been able to level up her game, she's kind of becoming one of the most successful bigs, especially the way she's been able to shoot for three, which usually is not a part of her game at all, but she's adding that to her bag. So I mean, they talked about it pretty well. They're becoming a very successful duo, and I think we're seeing that with the Phantom getting things rolling as well.
If she adds a consistent three-pointer to her arsenal for the W season, that's going to be huge in the pick and
Hmm.
roll with Caitlin, and she can pick and pop now. Creates a whole new dynamic for the Fever offense. So
Yep,
always for players expanding their games, and this is the perfect opportunity to do it.
exactly.
On Monday, all that talk I had about the Mist earlier, and they kind of got blitzed in this one. They started out up 8-3, and then it was a 17-2 Breeze run that it turned into a 25-12 extended run. Paige was just hot from the jump. The
Hmm.
Mist had no answer for her in the pick and roll,
Yeah.
and she was just getting to her spots. And when she does that, it's pretty much automatic. Malonga did a really good job, I thought, of sealing and getting position in the post. She had 18, I believe, excuse me, 16 in this one, and 16 rebounds to go with that. So she played really well. It was just a bad shooting day for the Mist, in all honesty. Arike was 5 of 15, Stewart 8 of 22, Alicia Gray was 7 of 24. So as a team, 31, basically 32% from there, 30% from downtown, and it was the Paige Bueckers show. So she had 37 on a hyper efficient 14 of 19, 5 of 8 from three, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Um, they just they just had no answer for her.
And I think also Cameron Brink added a lot off the bench. She added 18 with 6 for 12, had 6 rebounds too. And
Hmm.
she hasn't been adding that much. I think she's still trying to get back into the swing of things from her injury. So I think this was a big turning point for her, and hopefully we'll see her play the way she was playing before her injury. But this was the game that Paige won the 50K. There was a free
Hmm.
throw contest through the first 5 games of Unrivaled, and whoever had the highest free throw percentage won, and she was perfect 100%. So
Yep.
it was a great day for Paige Bueckers.
It sure
37
was.
points and 150K.
Shout out for Kate Martin too. She got 9 rebounds in this one. Crashing the boards. second on the team in rebounds in the second least minutes. So
Yeah,
not her most impactful day offensively, of course, didn't make a shot, but um, that's a very valuable asset coming off the bench as well.
for sure.
And then the final game of the weekend, which is the one I had my hot take for last week. I
Right on the
said the
money.
I said the Lunar Owls would lose on Saturday. Was that Saturday when they played their first game? Yes. I said they would lose to the Mist and get their first win against Final, and that's exactly what they did. 68 to 57. They finally they finally got one
Got it
in the win
done.
column. Skylar Diggins was available in this one, and obviously she makes a big difference.
Mhm.
Or she was available on Saturday, but she's getting her feel back. So every game you expect a little bit of improvement from her.
Yeah.
Um, Rebecca Allen got going early with two threes.
Hmm.
Her and Diggins combined for 19 points, which is very helpful for Edwards and Mabry.
Yep.
It doesn't sound like a lot in terms of two players combining for 19, but that's a lot more than Marina and Aaliyah have typically been getting in terms of help.
Yep.
Obviously, Mabry still carried the load in this one with 31 points, 10 of 22 from the field, 6 of 12 from three, 9 rebounds. Things started to go the Owls' way. I felt like the momentum shifted and they were probably going to win the game when Aaliyah Edwards hit that three on that broken possession. The
Yep.
pass was going out of bounds, late shot clock. She had to force it up there. It was her first three of the season. It's the only one she took in this game. She's 1 for 1. And that expanded the lead from 3 to 6. So, and then obviously Mabry hit a tough game winner in the face of Erica Wheeler, kind of just a pull. There wasn't much to that offensive possession, but Edwards, I thought she was going to be able to hold her own against Hamby, and she did that. Hamby just 8 points in this one, 4 of 10 from the floor, 5 rebounds. Meanwhile, Edwards had 18 rebounds. I felt like Allen forced Howard into a pretty inefficient game, and that was another matchup I wanted to watch. We know Rebecca Allen's one of the better shot blocking guards, just defensive guards in the W, and so held Howard to. I mean, she still got 20, but it was on 8 of 20 shooting, 2 of 8 from three, so not the most efficient day for her. But yeah, those two matchups were the ones I was looking at before, and they kind of played out how I predicted, and so big time win for the Owls.
Yeah. Both of our hot takes were pretty much right on. I mean, yours was exactly right on. I said that the Rose were going to lose their first game against the Laces, and they did, but they had already lost earlier in the weekend. So we both
Right.
kind of started off really strong, set the bar really hard for our hot takes.
Yeah, we'll see what happens this week.
We want to get into our hot takes first.
Oh, I guess while we're on the topic,
Yeah.
this one was kind of, I don't know. I didn't have as much of an obvious one to pick this week.
Yeah.
I think the matchup on Sunday between Rose and Phantom,
Hmm.
I think Chelsea Gray and Kelsey Plum are going to combine for at least 70 points. I think each of them will have 35 or more. And obviously, Gray is first in the league in scoring. She's averaging 30 a night. Plum's fifth. I think she's averaging 22. Both are top five in assists, 3 pointers made. Each have 2 game winners, tied for the league lead with a number of other girls. But I really am excited to see that guard matchup. We'll see how much the 2 man game works with Plum and Boston. Obviously, Gray's going to have to do what she's going to have to do to keep the Rose competitive. Obviously, Copper coming back eases that load. We talked about that a little bit. But I'm expecting kind of a showdown between those two. So I think each of them gets 35 plus. They combine for 70. And I will say that the Phantom walk away with the win.
Mine also involves the Rose. I think the Rose they have a hard weekend coming up.
Hmm.
So their first game, which is my hot take, is on Friday. It's the first game of the weekend, Mist and Rose. My hot take is that the Mist are going to beat the Rose, which is kind of a basic hot, like kind of very surface level. But to go into it, I think the Mist have played a lot of close games. They only lost by 2 against the Laces, only lost by 3 against the Phantom, who are two teams that are playing really well. And this was kind of before the Mists have gotten some things going. I know their first game
Hmm.
was good this weekend, second game not so much, but we touched on Enrique a little bit, and I think that's kind of the big point. I think this weekend is her weekend. She's going to figure it out and kind of be. a bigger addition off the bench. And then I mentioned that Alicia Gray obviously is starting to get her feel for this 3-on-3. So I think always having the consistency of Stewie, you add in Alicia Gray, who's playing really well right now. I think Enrique's weekend is coming up, and then the defense of Veronica Burton. I think that this mix, they can come together in this weekend. I think they'll be able to kind of hand it to the Rose. That's my hot take.
I'll add to that and say Enrique goes for 30 in at least one game this weekend because it's about time that
It
she
is.
that she gets going.
This league is like designed for the way she plays
It's
basketball.
very similar to the Kelsey Mitchell discussion. Yes.
Yes. So I think the amount of games she hasn't tapped into that potential, it's gonna even out soon.
Yeah, I mean, and part of that is just the loaded roster they have,
Yeah.
and with how limited you are in terms of volume in this format. Like, yes, your volume is expanded in the grand scheme of things, typically for the role players. But if you're a star player and you're like Enrique, where you're asked to be number one or number two every night, that's not necessarily the case in this league when you
Yeah.
have, six of the top, what do you want to call it, 50 players, 40 players in the W on your roster. I'm throwing Lee in that conversation. That's why the number's a little bit lower. But
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Yeah. All right. What do we want to do next? Favorite play of the weekend?
let's do that because I was just mentioning her. That high pickup on the fast break was so unexpected from Lee Rue that I was enamored with it. So got the ball near half court, took it all the way, little high step over the defender, um, laid it in, and I just didn't know she had that in her bag. And then obviously she hit that three as well. So that was fun to watch her play. Four of the strongest minutes from anyone we've seen all season in that one. That fast break layup just had me had me shook.
I think also she's adding a lot. I know she's not playing as many minutes, but she's adding a lot from Stewie's game. I feel like she's
Hmm.
being able to watch and learn a lot from her, which obviously we talked. You said it's one of the best games you've seen of hers, and I think she's gonna continue to learn because I mean she is playing around. I mean the Mist, we've talked about it many times this episode. They are loaded, so she's learning from a lot of great basketball players.
And if she can develop in terms of becoming this like main pick and roll threat for Dallas, that is
Mhm.
huge for Paige because Paige loves to operate in that. She's very highly efficient in it. And so if Lee can roll, if she can pop now too and hit a three,
Mhm.
that could unlock some things with the Dallas offense and kind of ease the pressure off of Paige and Enrique on the perimeter.
My favorite play of the weekend was kind of a sequence, but ultimately the Kelsey Mitchell game winner. Obviously, the actual game winner wasn't that exciting,
Yeah.
but the way she was able to just come out this game, she had 24 points, beat the Rose. It was back and forth the entire game, but the way that she was able to kind of stay. Sometimes we see her when the game speeds up, she kind of just throws up the ball and doesn't stay like basically poised and consistent. But I think this game she really challenged herself to do that, and she was able to. And I think they came away with the win because of that. And yeah, not that exciting as yours, but still good.
All right, standout player of the weekend. Who is it for you?
Mine is Marina Mabry. I
Mhm.
wanted to pick her last weekend, but I couldn't pick her if they didn't win. And this weekend, finally, they were able to win. And she has been playing so consistent. She's second in the league in points per game with 27, almost 28, only behind Chelsea Gray, who's obviously playing lights out. But the way she's able to come in every night with a team who's not really contributing much to their scoring, and she's kind of putting it on her back, she's able to come in every single game. She had 27 in the first game with 10 rebounds and 8 assists when they lost to the Mist. And then when they won against the Vinyl, had 31 points with 9 rebounds and 2 assists. So continuously coming in, doing her job, and shooting really well, especially from three. She shot 67% first game and 50% second game.
Yeah, I would love to give it to her, especially since I had the prediction of the Owls winning their first game. And
Yeah.
I think she's certainly deserving. She's probably like 1B in this discussion, but for me, it was Paige, and that was simply because of the 37 she had against the Mist. She had 25 in the loss. She was very good in the loss to the Finals. So she averaged 31 points per game on the weekend
Mhm.
on 59% shooting and 61% from three. I mean, it's just unreal efficiency. And obviously, we already mentioned this, but winning the free throw challenge, going 13 of 13, so she gets $50,000, which is a little over half of what she makes in a season.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a big deal. Um, and so seeing her thriving in this league is not surprising me. But it was really cool to see it come to fruition against one of the best teams in the mist, and just again her efficiency, which she's always been efficient going back to her days in high school. That's kind of what her game is. Um, Always the shot diet is all three levels, and she's good at all of it. So I'm gonna give my standout player of the weekend to Paige Bueckers.
Nice. I love that we're not repeating players. We should make that a rule that we can't repeat players of the week.
Yeah, yeah.
Spread the love. I mean, there's a lot of girls that are playing really good, so
Hmm.
there's so many 30 pieces literally every game. So
Right.
we had a little bit of change, obviously, in the records. Laces are now 4-1. They played really good this weekend. There's, I think, four teams now that are 3-2. We have Rose, Breeze, Phantom, and Mist. Vinyl are the only team that is 2-3, and then Hive and Lunar Owls both added a win, so both are 1-4.
Hmm.
So it's changing up quick. I feel like the way each team sets up, it's kind of evening out the records. And I think we don't see rematches until first week of February. So it'll be interesting to see how
Okay.
each team continues to develop until that point. So for this will be, I think this is the last weekend of new games, and then we'll start seeing teams play each other again.
Hmm.
Looking at Friday, we have Mist versus Rose, and then Phantom and Vinyl. Saturday, we have Lunar Owls and the Breeze, and Hive and Laces. Then Saturday, Vinyl and Mist, and then Phantom and Rose. I think the Phantom and Rose game will be pretty good too. And it,
I think that day is going to be one of the
yeah,
stronger ones. Looks like one of the stronger ones of the weekend.
yeah. And then Monday, we'll see the Lunar Owls and Hive, which I know it's not going to be the most exciting, but we'll be
The
able to
bottom of the barrel
see
game.
the bottom of like who really is not the worst, but who's kind of elevating their game and going to get a win because one of them's going to win. And then the last game of the weekend is Laces and Breeze. I'm excited for that game. I think that game will be pretty good. I think it'll be a very quick game too.
I got Paige upsetting the 4-1 laces in that one.
Ooh. All right. I'll see how the Breeze kind of underwhelmed me this weekend,
It's fair.
but we'll see how this weekend goes. I think the game lineups are pretty good. There's a lot of good games that'll be on this weekend.
Definitely.
But you have anything else to add?
I think that's all I got.
All right. That's all we have for episode 3 of Triple Threat. I'm your host, Abby Harvey with Isaac Wolf, and we will see you next time.